It is Saturday, March 14th, and Chelsea are preparing to host Newcastle United at Stamford Bridge this evening. Less than 72 hours ago, this squad was playing in Paris. They were competing in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, and they lost. Not just lost, they conceded 3 goals in the final 20 minutes. 3 goals in the closing stages of a European tie. That is the reality. This squad is walking back into Stamford Bridge with tonight. Enzo Rosén is the man who has to fix that atmosphere, reset his players mentally and put out a team capable of winning a Premier League match on short turnaround. That is no small task, and what makes it even more complicated is that the second leg against Paris Saint-Germain is coming on Tuesday, so every selection call tonight carries double the weight. You are not just picking a team for Newcastle, you are managing a squad across 3 matches in a matter of days. The situation is one of the most delicate balancing acts a manager in English football can face, and Rosén knows it. Here is what is at stake. Chelsea are currently 5th in the Premier League. Aston Villa sit in 4th place, and they are in action this Sunday against Manchester United. If Chelsea win tonight and Villa drop points on Sunday, the top 4 picture changes completely. That is the reality. This is not just a regular midweek fixture brought forward. This is a match that could define where Chelsea finish this season. And yet Rosén cannot simply throw everything at Newcastle tonight because Tuesday is coming. Paris Saint-Germain are coming. The second leg is now significantly harder after those 3 goals conceded in the final 20 minutes in Paris. So the manager has to think about both results simultaneously. That is the tension at the heart of tonight. Win the league battle or protect the Champions League campaign. In reality, Rosén needs to find a way to do both. If you want this level of analysis on Chelsea, every time a big story breaks, hit that subscribe button now. Maya on Chelsea breaks down exactly what is happening at Stamford Bridge and why it matters. Subscribe and stay ahead of the conversation. Let us now go through the selection picture piece by piece, because the choices Rosén makes tonight tell us a lot about how he is thinking. Starting in goal, the indication is that Philip Jorgensen could get the nod. The reasoning here connects directly to how Newcastle are expected to approach this game. It is now clear that Newcastle, like Aston Villa and Paris Saint-Germain before them, are expected to press Chelsea high. The goalkeeper is therefore not just a shot stopper tonight. He is a ball-playing participant in how Chelsea build from the back. Rosén has been open about the goalkeeper conversation in his press conference, and the indication is that Jorgensen gets his opportunity. Moving to right back, Reece James, the Chelsea captain, played the full 90 minutes in Paris. That is a significant physical output for a player who has had well-documented fitness challenges this season. The evidence suggests Rosén will look to protect James tonight, with Malo Gusto coming in at right back. Gusto was impressive in the Champions League match, and this could be his opportunity to build on that performance in the league. At centre-back, the picture is interesting. Wesley Fofana is a player who may be rested, with Mamadou Sarr potentially returning to the starting lineup. The assessment here is clear. Sarr has impressed in the limited appearances he has made since returning to the club, and tonight could be the night he is trusted with a starting role. Alongside him, Trevoh Chalobah is likely to continue. Chalobah did not have his best night in Paris, and the honest assessment is that his performance left something to be desired. But the expectation is that he keeps his place in the heart of the Chelsea defence tonight. At left-back, Marc Cucurella is another player who may be managed carefully. Cucurella has only recently returned from a hamstring injury, and with the Paris Saint-Germain second leg on Tuesday, protecting him makes sense. Jorel Hato is the man who could come in, and it is now clear that Hato has been one of the consistent bright spots since Rosén took charge of this Chelsea side. The manager trusts him, and tonight could be another opportunity for the young defender to prove himself. In midfield, Romeo Lavia is in the conversation. The 22-year-old made his first start since returning from injury last weekend in the FA Cup 5th round win at Wrexham. This would be only his 2nd Premier League start of the entire campaign. His last league start came in the 3-0 victory at Nottingham Forest on October 18th. The fact that he is being considered at all tells you where Rosén's thinking is. He wants to give Lavia minutes, build his rhythm and have him available as the season reaches its most critical phase. Moises Caicedo is expected to start alongside him. Even with the Paris second leg approaching, Caicedo is too important to leave out of a match with this much Premier League significance. The honest picture here is that Caicedo has not reached his best level under Rosén, though it must be noted that his standards have been exceptionally high throughout his Chelsea career. A sub-peak Caicedo is still one of the most competitive midfielders in this league. Now we come to Cole Palmer, and this is the most difficult call of the evening. Palmer is 23 years old and has been managing fitness problems all season long. The situation is that he is not at full physical capacity on a consistent basis, and Rosén has to factor that into every team selection. The assessment tonight is that Palmer could start, but with a clear plan to substitute him before the 60-minute mark. That would allow Chelsea to use him when it matters most, while protecting him for Tuesday. It is a calculated risk, but it is a manageable one if the game is in a good position. Enzo Fernandez rounds out the attacking midfield picture. Fernandez was Chelsea's best player in Paris. That is not a subjective opinion. It is the clearest fact to emerge from that defeat. In a night where Chelsea struggled badly in the final stages, Fernandez was the one player who maintained a high level throughout. He is expected to start again tonight, potentially operating as the number 10 behind the striker. If Fernandez carries that form into the Newcastle match, Chelsea will have a genuine creative threat at the top end of the pitch. On the wing, Pedro Neto is absent. The wording here matters. Neto is not injured. He is serving a one-match suspension confirmed by the FA on Friday. So that is one confirmed absence on the right side of Chelsea's attack. In his place, Alejandro Garnacho is expected to start. Garnacho has been in strong form in recent appearances and has been working to establish himself as a consistent option under Rosén. Jamie Gittens could return to the squad after more than a month out with a hamstring injury, which provides depth on the bench, even if he is not expected to start. Up front, João Pedro is the story of this Chelsea season at the attacking end. 11 goals in his last 13 matches for this club. 11 goals in 13 games. That is the kind of output that defines a season, and it is the kind of form that makes Rosén's decision here straightforward. There is a conversation around Liam Delap, given the tight turnaround and the demands ahead, but the evidence is overwhelming. Pedro starts. He has earned that right through consistent, decisive performance when Chelsea have needed it most. Now let us shift to the Newcastle side of this story, because what is happening at their club tonight directly affects how they set up at Stamford Bridge. Lewis Miley has not played for Newcastle United since January 28th. That was the Champions League match in Paris against Paris Saint-Germain, which ended 1-1. In that game, Miley sustained what was initially assessed as a dead leg. The reality turned out to be more serious. The damage extended into the muscle, and Miley has now missed 13 matches across all competitions. The 19-year-old has been targeting the Barcelona second leg in the Champions League as his return date. He has been open about that ambition, describing his frustration at missing time when he was, by his own account, in really good form. The desire is clearly there, but Eddie Howe has now introduced an important note of caution. When asked directly about Miley's availability for the Barcelona trip, Howe did not confirm it. The manager's response was measured and careful. Miley is on the grass again, running and working hard, but he is not yet training with the group. The medical team has communicated clearly to Howe that this injury requires patience. The risk of rushing him back and turning it into something more serious is real, and Howe is not willing to take that risk. The situation with Bruno Guimaraes adds another layer to the Newcastle story. Guimaraes is Newcastle's captain and one of the most important players in their squad. He has been out for the past month with a hamstring injury, and he has been undergoing his rehabilitation with the Brazilian national team's medical staff. He is not expected back in Premier League action until after the international break at the earliest. However, there is one confirmation worth noting. Guimaraes is planning to travel to Barcelona to support his teammates in the Champions League second leg, even though he will not be playing. Howe confirmed this, describing it as typical of Guimaraes' character. The captain wants to be there, even as a spectator. What this means for tonight is significant. Newcastle arrive at Stamford Bridge without two of their most important central midfielders. The balance, the creativity and the pressing intensity that Miley and Guimaraes bring to this Newcastle team will not be present at Stamford Bridge this evening. That is a confirmed factual reality, and it is something Rosén will have noted carefully in his preparation. Pulling this all together, what tonight represents is a test of squad depth and managerial judgment on both sides. For Chelsea, the challenge is selecting a team strong enough to win this Premier League match while preserving key players for Tuesday. The top four race is real and alive. The Champions League second leg is equally real and equally high stakes. Rosén has to navigate both, and the selections he makes tonight will tell us a great deal about how he is prioritising this season's ambitions. For Newcastle, they travel to Stamford Bridge already undermined by injury. Losing Miley and Guimaraes in the same period is the kind of blow that limits what a manager can ask of his squad. Eddie Howe will be working with reduced options in central midfield, and at a ground like Stamford Bridge, that matters. The Premier League table confirms that Chelsea need points. Fifth place is not where this squad expects to finish. And the window to close the gap on fourth-placed Aston Villa is open tonight. That is the clearest, most direct statement of what is at stake at Stamford Bridge this evening. This is Maya on Chelsea. If you found this analysis useful, hit the subscribe button. Every major Chelsea story gets broken down in full. No noise, no filler, just the facts and what they mean. Stay with us